So ever since the small clash between Gojo and Sukuna in the second chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, and being able to witness Satoru Gojo as the powerhouse among the Jujutsu Sorcerers, along with the reveal of his mutual enemy Ryomen Sukuna, who consequently swore to kill him, the question on my mind has been, who would win between Satoru Gojo and Ryomen Sukuna if they both fought at full power? And since they're both the two strongest characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, the winner of this death battle would also be the overall strongest character in the series as well. So in today's video, I will be comparing their powers in terms of cursed energy, jujutsu techniques, barrier expansions, and all their special abilities to determine once and for all who the most powerful character really is. Before I start, if you are new to the channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more anime and manga videos. And remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss another new upload. With that being said, let's get right into this. The reason I decided to make this video is because Gojo is established as the strongest and most gifted jujutsu shaman of his time, and probably of all time, while Sukuna is the mythical king of curses and the most powerful curse of all time. So it's pretty much inevitable that these two will have an all-out battle at some point in the story. And since we're comparing all their known power from the story so far, this video will definitely contain spoilers up to the chapter on the screen. So if you're not caught up to this point in the story, you have been warned. First off, let's start by comparing their natural cursed energy. Satoru Gojo was born into the Gojo clan with an insanely large quantity of cursed energy. Some of the largest amount of cursed energy seen in the last 1,000 years of Jujutsu history. He is also the first person in that 1,000 years to possess both the Six Eyes and the Limitless both at the same time. And this is relative because the Limitless is pretty famously used among the Gojo clan, but never with the Six Eyes since over 1,000 years ago. Now we don't know much about the Six Eyes itself, but we do know that he can basically use it to see cursed energy and through cursed techniques. Now the main factor of his cursed energy is the Limitless, which is the jujutsu technique he inherited from the Gojo clan, which in very simple terms allows him to control space down to a precise and atomic level. The most standard form of jujutsu he uses in it is the neutral form of Limitless, which is the infinity, and he uses it to create an infinite surrounding of space between him and existence itself, while being able to manipulate that space precisely by slowing things down infinitely, until it inevitably stops any and everything. This basically means that there's always an infinite space between Gojo and his enemies so that they can never reach him, making it the ultimate defense. Now let's look over at Sukuna's natural cursed energy. His main affinity to cursed energy is brute and immense power, which he uses in only two very distinct situations. Reversed curse techniques, which is the standard for all special grade cursed spirits, to be able to regenerate instantly. And with Sukuna being the king of curses, his affinity to reversed curses is way beyond natural, and he's able to regenerate any injury at extremely high speeds, which would inevitably give him the upper hand in a battle of endurance between him and Gojo, as Gojo doesn't have any affinity to reversed curse techniques. Although this would play out extremely differently if we take into consideration the training that Gojo went through in order to maximize his defense, which was the infinity, while trying to burn the least amount of cursed energy to keep it active at all times while being able to distinguish threats from non-lethal contact. Coming back to Sukuna, another very rare trait of cursed energy that he alone possesses is the ability to dive into other categories of cursed energy not categorized by his jujutsu techniques. A prime example of this was when he fought Jugo during the Shibuya incident arc, and he fought him using Jugo's main cursed energy element, which was fire. And not only that, but taking into consideration that fire is not his main affinity towards cursed energy, despite the fact that he fought and killed Jugo using nothing but Jugo's own natural affinity, speaks volume on Sukuna's ability towards cursed energy manipulation, and how there are very rare curses that he can't activate himself. So both Gojo and Sukuna have insane cursed energy manipulation, with Gojo having more rare and prolonging techniques, along with the Six Eyes helping him achieve the maximum potential in each technique, while Sukuna has an enormous supply of cursed energy, while being able to manipulate it all the way from reversed regeneration techniques to extremely complex applications. Now let's look at their main offensive curse techniques they use for battle. Starting again with Gojo, he has three main offensive applications for the Limitless technique. The first is Cursed Technique Lapse Blue, which uses negative energy to essentially create a negative reality by supplying a massive amount of negative cursed energy, which in turn causes a negative vacuum, which causes the universe to pull all things towards each other to bypass the negative space created by the negative cursed energy in the form of gravity that he can easily manipulate. In simple words, he creates a negative space which causes things to attract towards the negative space, exactly like Okuyasu's stand Zahando from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but on a more massive and world-destroying scale. The second technique is Cursed Technique Reversal Red, which is the reverse of the blue technique. Instead of using negative energy, Gojo multiplies a double force of negative energy to create a massive amount of positive cursed energy to invert the blue and repel all things in the universe. And since it uses double the negative cursed energy of Lap's blue, it has twice the destructive force. His third and final curse technique is a combination of both his blue and red techniques, which fuses negative cursed energy, which we already established as negative reality, and his blue technique to make an imaginary cursed technique, Hollow Purple, which literally destroys any and everything in his path due to the combination of absorption and repulsion to erase the universe. We saw the full extent of his power when he fought and killed the powerhouse Fushiguro Toji, even though these techniques were still at an immature level at the time, which means that Gojo has since then developed each of these techniques into a much more monstrous extent, which would probably destroy his past self in an instant. But now looking over at Sukuna's offensive techniques, his main go-to offensive jujutsu is cursed slashing techniques to cut up his enemies using raw cursed energy. This slashing technique has two different forms depending on the situation of battle. Dismantle, which is his standard slashing technique to rip apart everything, and a more advanced version of his dismantle technique, Cleave, which adjusts itself to its enemy's strength and uses the exact amount of cursed energy needed to kill his enemy in one move. Of course, he does have other offensive techniques like his elemental curse techniques, and theoretically any non-rare curse techniques could be acquired as he is the king of curses. So in offensive techniques, I'm leaning towards Gojo since we've seen his exact arsenal, but at the same time we haven't seen all of Sukuna's arsenal, which means he is definitely a lot stronger than he is now. Which also, judging by the fact that he's only eaten 15 fingers up until this point in the story and effortlessly took down a special grade curse using their own curse techniques against them without blinking, it's hard to say Sukuna is weaker in this situation. Another important factor is that there's no guarantee that Sukuna's cleave technique wouldn't hurt Gojo, since his infinity only affects anything with a physical mass, and cleave is raw, cursed energy. But then again, this is just a theory at this point. Finally, let's talk about their domain expansions. Gojo's domain expansion, Infinite Void, allows him to create a void space and attack his enemies with an endless supply of information, while he holds their ability to comprehend this information or take any action. This basically means that his enemies can feel, see, and know everything, yet know nothing and can do nothing at the same time. Now, Sukuna's domain expansion, Malevolence Shrine, is a bit more complex and a special type of domain in the sense that it doesn't actually create a barrier at all. Instead, he gives his enemies an escape route by not creating a barrier, while it automatically activates his cleave technique, which I mentioned earlier, to automatically one-shot any enemy in his domain. And by allowing his enemies to have an escape route, he indirectly creates a binding vow that increases his range by an insane area of up to 200 meters in radius, while a typical barrier would be 2 to 5 meters. To give an example of how broken his domain really is, he one-shot and destroyed the 8-handled sword divergent divine general Mahoraga, the most powerful Shikigami of all time, which on top of that had the ability to adapt to any and all attacks. This means that if it gets attacked even once, the same attack would be useless as it already adapted to it by healing and creating countermeasures against it, and yet it was completely destroyed by a barrage of cleave attacks from his Malevolent Shrine. Another major theory I have about Sukuna's barrier is that he may be the only user of more than one barrier techniques, as we've seen him being capable of using more than one variety of cursed energy. It could be possible that he'd have more than one domain expansion to complement his different forms of techniques, but again, that's just a theory on my part. So finally, to reach a conclusion, I believe that Gojo does have the upper hand when it comes to close quarters, in terms of attack strength at least. His Lapse Blue, Reverse Red, and Hollow Purple could also help him combat Sukuna when it comes to long-range battles, but again his main strength lies in defense, as he can apply the neutral form of the Limitless Infinity to protect him from all physical attacks. Plus he has his Infinite Void, which he mastered to the point where he could activate it in 0.2 seconds while keeping the lasting effects. Sukuna, on the other hand, has a major advantage when it comes to long-range battles, and especially battles of endurances, since he can outlast almost all of his enemies. And since his Cleave and Malevolent Shrine are both designed for long range, while also being raw cursed energy, it's possible that Gojo's Infinity can't protect him against it, meaning that if Sukuna were to be within range of him, it would be an instant win for him. But it should be noted that up to this point in the story, Sukuna has only absorbed 15 fingers and hasn't shown his full hand, and yet it's already a pretty leveled battlefield. So I would say, going by the theory that Sukuna may have more than one domain expansions due to his many cursed affinities, and that he still has 5 fingers worth of energy left to absorb, the winner and strongest curse user in this battle is the King of Curses himself, Ryomen Sukuna, for the win. But again, that's just my opinion on this. Let me know what you all think in the comments down below. I'd like to see if you agree with me or if you believe that Gojo has the edge here. Also, let me know if you would like to see more theory videos like this on the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to drop a like and definitely subscribe for more crazy anime theories. If you want to witness even more anime shenanigans, channel news, or just chat with me directly, check out my Twitter at @TheHeavenlyWeeb. My DMs are always open. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.